would like to switch gears a little bit to get an answer from all of you on this. So the question we've had this on a few of our webinars, which I like putting forward. So it's this idea of never waste a good crisis. That was sort of the segue that caught our eyes. But the idea to get your thoughts on, and I think we've touched on it a little bit here today, is can we acknowledge that like efforts to digitize supply chains were sort of underway before COVID hit? Can we all acknowledge that, I guess, is the base question. But then do we think that this has really just accelerated those efforts, this crisis, and really pushed us to need to examine produce supply chains and the resiliency for the future? Roland, I think I would start with you and maybe Ilanit as well.
A lot of the push that our participant may be thinking about, like first thing I thought of was blockchain, right? We know that there was an initiative to really begin to implement blockchain into the fresh produce system. But most of that push centered around food safety, right? So that was really the match that lit that fire. So I'm not sure. Look, there are ways that digitization can make supply chains, whether it's produce or anything else, more efficient, more economically efficient. But just keep that in mind, that the big push in digitization, at least over the last, say, 18 to 24 months, was really focused around food safety. And so far, COVID hasn't been linked to any food contaminations. So kind of two separate deals.
We have a question specifically for you, Ilanit, on the challenges that Dole is facing, specifically, I think, sort of high level but succinctly when it comes to COVID. How the question is around how is Dole reacting to demand forecasting difficulties? I know we heard that from Ryan, and we heard sort of his 20% cut, and that's sort of his plan based on the information that he has. But Ilanit, can you tell us a little bit more about how Dole is handling those forecasting difficulties?
It's not easy, definitely, but it also linked to the question before about digitizing supply chain. So this situation about demand forecasting, about what's happening in the supply chain with issues in the farms, issues with retailers across the end-to-end supply chain is really pushed us to look at ways to digitize our supply chain. And if I look in a broader view, also what's happening in the startup area where I'm deeply involved for the past decade, and I do see lots of new initiatives around digitizing supply chain in order to cope with those issues, both demand focusing, but others. So when I at the beginning of my speech, I started to put a list of potential technologies that are coming into this area, and it starts with the farm, with precision agriculture, and then it goes to yield prediction, and then to farm management and post-harvest technologies and quality control and inventory management. If that's not enough, here comes more. Cold chain monitoring, freight management, transportation tracking. There's a lot that is coming in. Many technologies, many startups which are operating in this field, and which can help us at the end get more and more data to be able to forecast better and also to be more efficient and so on. But looking also at the challenges from an industry point of view, from a Dole point of view, then there's lots of challenges. Roland just mentioned blockchain. The blockchain is one of the most difficult technologies to apply. It's very cumbersome. It works only if you have contract tracing, and if you apply it to one crop, you just lay down for 2 years because it's too difficult to apply. And if you look just at the list of technologies which I just mentioned, the question would be where to start with them. Whether should I start with quality control, with yield prediction, or should I go to inventory management? So this is part. So the whole area, yes, the trend is up definitely. More startups definitely, and there is a need. But then when it comes into implementation, there's a whole set of challenges to make it right. And to summarize it, yes, there's a whole new room which is going to help us as an industry and also as Dole to improve.
Great, thank you.